Hello there, this is Joy KahNah. Welcome to my video on North Node in the 9th house. I apologize. Due to time restraints, I was unable to set up my fancy camera equipment today, so please excuse the quality of this video. So how will you know if your North Node is in the 9th house? In order to know for sure, you will need to generate your full natal chart, and I have linked below a place where you can do that. Once you have your chart generated, you will want to look up near the upper right hand corner to the little slice of your chart that has the number 9, and that is your 9th house. If you find the symbol there that looks like a horseshoe, then indeed, you have your North Node in the 9th house. If you have your North Node in the 9th house, this means that in your past life, your life's purpose required you to have to be really tuned in to other people's sort of thoughts and ideas. It probably meant that you had to really be very tuned into your local community. So I think of this as maybe having a past life where you maybe were a journalist or where you were a teacher of very young sort of children, and you taught them not just knowledge, but you also taught them like how to be, right? How do we act here in this town? How do we act in this community? And you're coming from a past life where knowing a little bit about everything was really essential. And knowing what other people thought about everybody else was also really essential. And you're probably coming from a lifetime that was pretty insular, by which I mean you may have lived out your whole life in the place that you were born, right? In the town that you were born. Like your whole life may have become about that town and what people believe in that town and achieving status and recognition for yourself in that town. So where does that leave you now in this lifetime? Well, it leaves you with a couple of things. One of the things to know for sure, if your North Node falls in the 9th house, is that you are very unlikely to find your life's purpose if you stay in the town that you were born into. Yes, this is a generality. However, the 9th house rules long distance travel, and it rules the far away places, and your North Node is about your purpose. And to have the North Node found in the 9th house could literally mean that your purpose is found in a faraway place. It's not found right here. It's probably not the career that your mom did and her mom did that she raised you to do. It's probably something a little bit different than that. In order to fulfill your destiny, you have to get really, really in touch with what you believe. In past lives, your life purpose required you to be open to all ideas. In your past life, your life purpose required that you didn't offend anyone. In your past life, you had to know how to speak to everybody in a way that they were going to really like, and you needed to have everybody in your community on your side. In this lifetime, you will probably need to believe something different than the family that you were raised into. You'll have to take that part of your brain that was formerly reserved to knowing what everybody's saying about everything else or knowing the latest gossip or stuff like that, and instead take that part of your brain and use it to find the truth. Use it to find your higher knowing. Use it to find your personal connection to spirit and to the higher realms. The 9th house is about spirituality. The 9th house is about higher knowing. And having your North Node there means that somehow that higher knowing is a part of your life's purpose. And it Maybe that in order to find your true life's purpose, you first have to find your connection to your own soul and your own psychic intel. It's very likely with this placement that your psychic intel, rather than somebody else's, is what is going to bring you the highest truth. And so therefore it becomes incredibly important to learn to trust yourself. With this placement, it's always going to be the case that your direct knowing, that knowing that relies on faith, your direct knowing that comes from deep within you, is always going to be more true than somebody else's knowing or somebody else's opinion. And to achieve your purpose, you'll have to really reduce the extent to which you care about what other people believe. And you'll have to even reduce the extent that you care about facts, solid facts, because your destiny is to move away from those facts and into faith, basically. Think about it like this. It depends a lot on the sign of your North Node, exactly how this will manifest. It is important to take into account the sign of your North Node just as much as the house placement. But one possible manifestation of this would be someone who in their past life, or in even early, up to maybe age 30 or 35 in this lifetime, maybe they were an elementary school history teacher, okay? And so the past life or early life, you're teaching history, and it's a set of facts. It's a set of agreed upon facts, right? And the destiny then with their North Node moving there from the 3rd house to the 9th house would be that now they must go on a journey, a long journey, to discover the truth about the history of this planet, the real truth, which is not at all going to be represented in the facts about the dates, the wars, etc. That is not the truth. And with somebody who has their North Node in the 9th house, there's a need to dig. You must dig, you must uncover what is the truth, and you must be willing to do this without having concrete proof. Okay, so that person that was once a history teacher of facts for young children throughout their lifetime, as they activate their North Node in the 9th house, now they become a professor of the philosophy of history at a university, and they talk about their philosophy of why history is subjective and what that means for us as human beings and what that means for us as souls. Let's say that you had your North Node in Taurus and it's in the 9th house. This would mean that you had your South Node in Leo in the 3rd house. Now, one example of how that could have manifested could be a past life where you were a local magician. No, I mean maybe, but like local musician, right? A past life where you were a local musician or artist of some kind, and then you may be born into this lifetime, and all you want to do is you just want to just play music for everyone in your community. You want to go down to the corner like coffee shop, and you want to be the best one, and you want everybody to be talking about you. But it doesn't work out that way, especially as you get older, because as you get older, the 9th house then would pull on you with that placement. And it may result in you actually realizing, yes, I do have a musical gift, but I'll never be able to fully realize that by just drawing attention to myself in my local community. So instead, as the life of that person moves on, they find themselves all of a sudden in India. And what they're doing is they're teaching the very foundations of music to young children who would not otherwise have access to that information. So one thing that can happen with the South Node in 3rd house, North Node in the 9th house, is that something that was once an interest primarily because it generated attention in your local community, all of a sudden finds a higher purpose in the 9th house. This could be any sort of talent. Another manifestation of this could be that what you were very curious about as a child, you then move on to teach that as an adult. So the 9th house rules higher education in general. So this could definitely give you a purpose related to teaching. The specific targets of teaching that would be most in line, speaking generally, would be philosophy, religious studies, theology, law, or metaphysics, or anything related to spiritualism. Like, those would be the teaching areas that would be most on path. There's a need to take what you know and do something with it. Something higher. Not to know things just for the sake of knowing, but to believe something for the sake of having a personal truth, a foundation to stand on. You have to be willing to put a flag in the sand and say, this is what I believe. This is my belief right here. And it can be very hard to do that, but in order to fulfill your purpose, you'll have to be willing to put your faith into something. And what that something is going to be dictated by the sign of your North Node, right? So if your North Node was in Virgo in the 9th house, it may be about committing to a belief about health and nutrition, right? And there's so many different beliefs about that are at play right now. And your tendency that you must overcome is the tendency to learn a little bit about all of them and then not commit to any of them. If you had that placement, then your destiny would be related to finding the one that you believe is the most true, putting your faith in that form of nutrition or wellness, and then sharing it with the world, sharing it with others to help them elevate their understanding and experience, to show them, right, with Virgo, let's say it was Virgo in the 9th, like to show them a higher way of eating, right? And that you really believe it's a higher way of eating. You know, maybe after all the research, you discover that you really believe that the whole foods plant-based diet is the most nutritious. And so you commit to that and you share that with others and teach them that way to apply the knowledge in a higher way to improve their lives. Okay, or maybe you discover that it's the keto diet or paleo or whatever, it doesn't matter, but you have to commit to something in order to achieve your destiny with North Node in the 9th house. You have to have a personal philosophy that's unique to you, and you have to be willing to share that. There'll be some sort of test in your lifetime where you have to share what you believe, knowing that it may go against what your friends believe or family or other people whose approval that you would really want. In order to achieve your purpose in this world, you're going to have to be willing to run the risk of offending people. Not to say that you will have to offend a whole bunch of people, but you'll have to run the risk of offending people. You'll have to be willing to share information that you know that not everybody is going to agree with, but to do it anyway. That's a big part of your destiny. You're meant to find the truth, but not through asking other people. One thing that you'll find with this placement is that if you ask a whole bunch of people a whole bunch of things, you're going to get a whole bunch of different answers, okay? And there's going to be lessons around this, because your lesson is not to ask other people. Your lesson is to use your intuition to decide for yourself based on what your higher guidance is telling you. And so that's why no matter what career you find yourself in, having a connection to your own higher self and your own higher knowing is going to be essential. And maybe you develop that through meditation, or you develop that through card reading, or you develop that through a shamanistic study or through psychic development classes, but you must develop your own direct connection to spirit, because that's where your truth is going to come from. And working according to your personal sense of truth is the only thing that will bring you in alignment with your destiny. I also want to speak about time. So you're moving from a lifetime in which everything was quick. Everything was right here, right now. Right here, right now. I need it to happen right here, right now. This placement is going to force you to go on a long journey because 9th house rules long journeys, and it's going to force you to think about the bigger picture, to think about the longer journey, and something related to your destiny is going to involve a very long journey. So for example, 9th house North Node could indicate somebody who is meant to be a teacher in a higher education setting. Well, in order to do that, you have to go to preschool maybe, but I mean, you definitely have to go to kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, undergrad, master's degree, PhD, and then even after you've gotten your PhD, in order to teach at a university level, you will also have to do continuing education, research, publishing. You can teach kids at a preschool. Maybe you can find an opportunity to do that with no degree whatsoever, right? Where you can just come in, somebody will let you come in, teach kids about color, and that's fulfilling in a certain way, but it won't fulfill you in this lifetime. In this lifetime, you have to know what you're really teaching, right? And in order to really know, you're going to have to go on the really long journey in order to be able to understand. And it's interesting because for some people, this could represent that the journey comes through education, literally through higher education. For some people, the journey may actually be a physical journey, right? So in order to find your destiny, you actually have to get up and leave, and all of a sudden you find your destiny in Sweden, or you find it in Australia, or you find it in Iceland, or it requires you to sort of get on a plane and travel a really long distance. For some people, that travel, then it becomes spiritual travel, and you may find yourself as a shaman, or you may find yourself as a psychic, or you may find that your destiny involves retreats away from the world. I think of the 9th house as being related to going off on your own to find spirit. So you could find a lot of success offering retreats to others or going on one yourself. The important thing is that you're disconnecting from that pulse of what is everybody saying about everything and what is everybody else doing, and instead that you're finding silence, because your truth is going to come from that silence. It's not gonna ever come from out there. It's always gonna come from within here. I personally live most of all the time with my cell phone turned off, and I don't use social media, and I try to just check email once a day. And these things may sound very extreme for somebody with their North Node in the 9th house, because there could be that desire to want to even like have a career in social media or something like that, to be constantly plugged in to what everybody else is saying about everything. That is off path if you have your North Node in the 9th house. You are to deal with higher knowledge and higher understanding. Maybe, when you're young, you find a lot of success on social media, but as you get older, it becomes less and less and less, and eventually you realize, oh, I can actually take that skill that I had for drawing attention in social media, and I can actually elevate it, and I can use it to publish profound writings, right? Like 9th house is about publishing. So if you have your North Node in the 9th house, it could indicate a book or some sort of either like that you are a publisher or that you publish something very significant, a significant piece of writing or a significant teaching of some sort. North Node in the 9th house can also lead to success as a lawyer or a judge or anybody like that whose job revolves around deciding what is genuinely true. It can lead to a lot of success in careers related to foreign affairs or careers related to travels, particularly international travel. And this can also be the placement of somebody who has very profound experiences with religion and who even could become a priest, for example, or actually work within a church setting that they really believe in. You really have to trust yourself above others. And in order to fulfill your destiny, you'll have to take yourself seriously. Instead of telling yourself, oh, I'm just somebody who knows a lot of facts about X, Y, or Z, you want to move from that to, no, I'm somebody who carries a higher understanding and a genuine wisdom about this topic. And therefore, I have the responsibility to share this with humanity so that people have the opportunity to evolve their own way of living if they so choose. This is a placement that favors careers that encourage you to use your right brain as opposed to left brain. Somehow it's going to be a part of your destiny to put your faith in something that cannot be proven. And I always think of that as being a really right brain sort of thing. That's the right brain is where our intuition comes from, our creativity, our emotion, our knowing without proof, right? The left brain processes, okay, I'm looking at this crystal, so therefore this crystal exists. And the right brain is, I don't know, but I just sense that below my feet is a cave, and within it are thousands of crystals, right? So that's right brain, left brain. And so there becomes this need to follow your sort of hunches. If you find yourself on a fact-gathering journey, then you might be off path. Like if you find yourself that your research is led from within, from some sort of faith or knowing that cannot really be proven, then you're probably on track. There's somehow the need by the end of your lifetime to find a much higher belief. And there is a need to walk on the spiritual path and to go on a spiritual journey. Not to have your spiritual journey through other people and their experiences, or to just go after the spiritual experiences that are hot right now. To go on a genuine spiritual journey to enlightenment, and to be willing to understand that that's a long journey and your beliefs will evolve over time, and that by the end of your life you're destined to reach a true understanding of enlightenment, and to let go of any tendency to need to rush any aspect of that. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching today, and many blessings to all who are watching. Namaste.